Thank you, honey. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Cool.
Hello, and welcome back to the Growing Wild Studios YouTube channel. My name is Cindy, and I'm the maker here on this channel. Today, we're actually not making anything, but we are setting myself up for success for future projects. As I mentioned on the channel before, my husband and I moved into a new place. I keep calling it recently, but I realize it's been almost 6 months. So we've moved in, and I have not organized my craft closet. Now, the craft closet serves a couple of different purposes, including for some of my husband's music storage, including for, some of my wedding storage and some, categories that I wasn't expecting. So, I was finding myself that it was kind of organized in categories, but it wasn't taking advantage of the vertical space. So I decided I needed to change that. And um, if you know me, I'm not someone that doesn't like to buy brand new. I like to kind of find crafty ways, thrifty ways to kind of either use what I have or find secondhand items to help find storage solutions, to find solutions for all different sorts of things. So even though I did end up buying one new thing, which I'll talk about in the video, it was because I had really exhausted all of my usual places: Facebook Marketplace, thrift stores, a couple of different thrift stores, friends, family, and I wasn't finding anything. Because the closet is designed to be a second bedroom closet, it was hard to find organizational tools that would work for me. So, one new thing that I know I'm going to use in a lot of different places. I find that when I do have to buy new, I try to make sure I purchase things with the future in mind. So it's good quality. I know I'm going to use it for a long time, and it has good resale value if I end up not needing it in the future. And then the other organizational tools that I did buy, mainly baskets, I bought secondhand or I reused what I already had, which is my favorite zero cost way to do things. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it, and I'm going to let past Cindy, who has already gone through and started this process, guide you on the way. All right, so welcome to another angle of the office. Here we are standing right in front of the closet. This is the closet that I, store a lot of my crafting material. Various different hobbies are in here. Mostly in this rainbow unit right here. I love the rainbow unit, but as you can see, there are lots of things sticking out of the drawer, and I don't really know if it is the best solution for me. So we're gonna find out. And if I have to rehome it, I have to rehome it. It'll go somewhere to someone who loves rainbows, and I will get over the sadness. It also has a lot of different uses, the closet in particular. So, this unit in particular has kind of shipping items, gift bags, various things of that nature. It houses a lot of my wedding gear as well, some various camera gear, various yarns, and various stages of project development, as well as my sewing and fabric supplies. And then we have a handful of music related items. I have played cello in the past, and Glenn is a musician, so he has a couple of items in there as well. So I have purchased a shelving unit, an IKEA unit. I looked for a bunch of options secondhand, but they were either super far away or not really what I wanted. That's actually where these cubbies over here come from. I bought them thinking that a lot of the baskets I had would fit in there. But they're just tight enough that it's going to be kind of annoying. So we're repurposing them for some of Glenn's items in here. And we will see how it goes. The size an indication of how I felt about finding the shelving. That process was a process, we'll say.
But I am now going to start by emptying everything out of this closet, get it kind of organized into different categories. I think like by the end of today, the goal is to have the things organized, like I said, into categories, hopefully into different bins. I have a bunch of these pink things right up here. I have more of those. So hopefully all the categories are organized in a bin, and then tomorrow or another day I can work on putting the shelves together and seeing how everything fits in. All right. So, one other section that currently was not in the closet is items that I am trying to sell. I have really been trying to get some sort of crochet selling business off the ground. I've played around with maybe doing it, on Etsy, maybe doing my own website, maybe going to craft fairs. And I've really been trying to figure this out for almost 2 years now. And I think I've landed somewhere where I want to start going to craft fairs. I want to maybe reach out to a couple of local places. I know that my local hair studio that I go to get my hair cut, they have some items up front for sale. I think I'm gonna reach out to them to see if I can either rent some space or if they would do a wholesale order, in order to get things going. I'm gonna be a brave person. I hope. In the meantime, I have kind of started to build a little bit of a stock. Um, And I have some yarn that I've purchased in the hopes that I will see the yarn, I will be inspired by the yarn. Sometimes I see crochet as like a reorganization of yarn, which is, I understand, a weird concept, but sometimes seeing the yarn makes me want to reorganize it into an actual item so that I can use it or I can put it away in the place it's supposed to be as the finished object, or I can give it to someone. So sometimes having the yarn and seeing it motivates me to do it. So I have these two, they're really kind of like office drawers that I had the one and then I got the other one from Glenn when we gave him the white drawers, the white cubbies that didn't work out for the closet. So what I'm hoping to do is organize all of the supplies and finished objects that I have for selling crochet items in these two places. That way I know this is the only place I need to go for those types of items. They're outside of the closet just because I don't think that, with having the cello, with having some of my wedding gear in there, they're gonna fit. And this looks very nice, organized. It's the space that I have. So that way, like if I make a stock, but I'm not selling or I haven't, reached out to anyone yet, I am motivated to do so because I won't go over this allocated space for it. So we're going to work together on doing that. Um, yeah. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to the second day of organizing this closet so I can actually use it. We are going to start by putting together the shelving unit. It's an indoor-outdoor unit from IKEA. Really, I bought it because it was the least expensive option. I didn't need something expensive that was honestly not going to be seen that much. It didn't need to be that aesthetic, but it works. It's sturdy. It's made of metal, which is very nice. So we're going to start with that. Yes, I am wearing the same outfit as yesterday. Welcome to Saturday Morning Cindy, where the rules are made up and the points don't matter. So, we're gonna get started. Let's get into it. So I've opened the window, first of all. So if you hear some background noise, one, I hope it's some nice little birdies that are chirping and not any car sounds that are going by. So as you can see, the shelves are done. I'm not gonna lie, they are a little bit narrower than I was hoping for, but I measured my containers before I purchased these, so I'm still holding my fingers that everything I can fit two together on a shelf. But let's go ahead and figure that out in real time together. Okay, so still not perfect, but they work. Like I said when I was introing the day talking about the shelves, it doesn't have to be the most aesthetic thing in the world. It kind of just has to work. It has to be accessible. Need to make more use of vertical space. Which I think it does. The pink baskets are a little tight, but because they're plastic, they flex, and thankfully the yarn is flexible too. So not super worried about things there. That the only other thing I'm gonna have to give up was I was hoping to put my sewing machine and some of the sewing things on top, but they are heavy. I'm gonna put those on the bottom shelves simply because they are heavier, and while this is sturdy, I'm not super worried about it falling over with just the yarn and stuff on it. Um, I'm a little worried about stability. So I want to just put the heaviest things on the bottom, see how that works out. But besides that, I'm super happy with the height. I still think I can put a couple of things up top, but for now, there's nothing to it but to do it.
All right, well, here is a look at what the craft closet is looking like now. As you can see, a lot of the things are a lot more accessible due to the shelving unit, of course. So, giving you a little bit of a more intimate tour, we're going to start up top, which houses a lot of my wedding and video equipment. So, this is really just kind of wedding gear, as well as over here is a lot of miscellaneous items. Um, in the back here, we have kind of boxes for my cameras that I'm gonna sell soon, as well as basically any other miscellaneous tiny camera gear. It's not my favorite, but we're gonna work with it for right now. Then over here in the other corner, which is the only other not craft related corner, we have a little bit more wedding gear as well as my cello and a couple of things for Glenn's music. And that's basically everything that's in there. Really, it was just meant to get things out of the way. I need to access them, but I don't need to access them all the time. Getting back into more of the craft related items, we have kind of a corner back here. I'm trying not to call it the abyss because it's still very perfectly accessible. Here we have two of the pillow inserts that I purchased recently, second hand. And those really are not going to be in there forever, which is why I'm happy to shove them back there for now. Beyond that, we have my yarn swift right over here. Plus, you can maybe peek the portfolio of my grandma's work, and I've stored some of mine in there as well recently. as well as my yarn stash. My yarn stash, which is mostly organized by projects I want to do, plus some additional fabric. And then in this plastic bag shoved on top, unceremoniously, is really fabric scraps for, I try to recycle scraps of fabric whenever I can rather than throwing them out. If I can make something better of the world and not contribute as much to pollution, I try. That's just there to collect for when I go to recycle it. All right, and then finally getting onto the shelves themselves. We really got everything organized nice and neatly. Everything regarding framing is on the bottom. This is, a shorter, a smaller space because I try very hard not to, to have too many frames at once. So this is like enough to give me, a little bit of stock when I find a good frame at the thrift store, but I don't need to have a hoard of it. Then everything above it on this shelf is for sewing, as the lovely label shows you. And then I have, my sewing box plus any other miscellaneous sewing related items in here, but they're organized and not just piled on top of each other, which is great. And the next shelf up, we have, as you can see again on the lovely labels, we have everything for scrapbooking in here. My husband and I do a yearly scrapbooking session where we kind of, scrapbook a little bit about our memories from the year. So everything for there is in there. And then miscellaneous supplies. Basically, this is all sorts of type of glue and a little bit of extra spray paint that I have. So it's called miscellaneous, but there's not a lot of uncharacteristic things in there. So I tried not to have a junk drawer, but that is the largest I'm letting my junk drawer for, crafting be. And then on the last two shelves, we really just have yarn and crochet supplies. So really, as this just says here, this is crochet supplies, anything for blocking, winding, miscellaneous bits and bobs. All of my hooks and stuff are in here. So that's fantastic to have rather than they were kind of spread out before. So that's really helpful. Then we have projects where I, have everything that I need. I have all the yarn, I have the right hook, I have everything else. I just need to start them. So those are my on deck. These are the next to take care of projects. And then up here we have projects where I have some of the yarn, but maybe I need some, additional items. So this right here, my Philly Yarn Crawl bag is filled with the yarn for the pillows. And it's in here because I don't think I have enough. And previously I needed the inserts still, but now that I have those, it might move over. So that's what's in that bin. And then over here, this is basically yarn that I have that I loved, but I have no idea what I'm going to use it for, which is why it's the no project yarn bin. And then over here, we just have a little bit of, thread. I say a little bit, knowing my grandma had 2, maybe 3 of these full of thread, which is a very different idea than what I've got, as well as some dedicated bins for some smaller items. So I have paint in here, all of my paint, everything for wax seals, a project I am hoping to embark on soon, as well as everything I have for embroidery. All of these things are things that I dabble in, don't, do all the time, which is why I have a little bit of supplies, but not a ton. But honestly, I thought this drawer unit was super cute. So I'm really happy those all fit in there and it works with the organization of everything. All right, and everything over here is kind of like I said before, this is everything that I have in terms of what I've completed, what I need for table setup, and yarn for new projects for trying to start a handmade crochet selling business. Over here on this side, everything is just yarn, things for new projects, whether they're dedicated to a specific thing for these top 2, or if I'm not totally sure, but I've started filming a video and I now kind of have an idea for this yarn. So that's what's in those over there. And then switching camera hands, over here, on this side, the top drawer is really, again, more yarn that I think I have an idea for, but I wasn't super happy with the product I created. So this is kind of limbo yarn. Below is items that I have finished and are ready to sell, which is very exciting. And then finally, in the last bin, I really have some boards and stuff that I want to use at vendor markets and stuff. I saw them at the thrift store, so they were a good deal, and I thought it would be, good to catch them. So, lastly, up on top here, this kind of bundle. These are really paint brushes. I'm going to show them to you. Here are these paintbrushes. These were actually my grandma's paintbrushes. She was an amazing painter, a skill that I have not quite gotten. But I want to take them out and prominently display them somewhere. I'm not sure where they're going to go. But for now, they're kind of just here on top until I find a good vase or some way to display them. So that's what I've got for you in terms of all of the yarn storage. So it's been a couple of weeks since I started the closet organization project, and I am really happy with the results. I have been able to live with it, go in and out of some bins, put some things away, take some things out, and the whole process is really easy. I'm no longer moving things around and hoping things fit up on this shelf and they don't fall down while I'm looking in the basket down here. Everything is super accessible. If I need to rifle through a basket, it's super easy to take it out and put it on my desk, which is right behind where you guys are now. So it's been really exciting to be able to actually utilize the closet here, especially because the closet in our old apartment was also not very well organized. So after a couple of years of, wanting to organize but not knowing how, it's been great to live with. So what isn't working? For the most part, like I said, I'm very happy with it. I think in an ideal world, I would have found shelving units that were a little bit wider so I could have more, it would be stuck more in the corner and I'd have like another set of baskets. So instead of two on each shelf, three on each shelf. But having just kind of a little pocket in the corner of the closet really did enable me to put most of my fabric down there. Even though I am trying to get back into more sewing, as I've mentioned, it's not yet been successful just because, you know, life basically. But right now, I'm okay with where it is. It's accessible enough where I can still see everything in there. I can still reach in there. But if I do, become more of an avid sewer, I do expect a little bit of a reshuffle in terms of where sewing things are organized. It's also not my favorite that I just have the pillow inserts for my crochet pillow project that I talked about in my Greater Philly Yarn Crawl video in there. They're just kind of shoved on top of the fabric as well as the scrap that I keep for recycling fabric. It's not my favorite, but it's kind of where there's room right now. The pillow inserts won't be in there forever either. So I'm gonna live with it for now, see how things progress. It's certainly not, the worst solution in the world. So we'll see how things go. The only other thing I'm not 100% happy with is my kind of photo and video little section in the top left-hand corner of the shelf. Really, that's just because I'm holding on to some boxes for gear that I am anticipating selling in the next few months, weeks, and I'm hoping that they increase the value a little bit. But ultimately, they're not going to be there after I sell it, whether or not they go to the buyer or not. So once I have that cleared out, I can better organize the other bin that's there, which has, my audio equipment, some of my film camera gear. Yes, I know, film camera gear in 2025. Some of that stuff, as well as some of the items that I have for wedding photography. So even though right now I'm still rifling through a little bit, and it's not my favorite, I know, pretty soon I'm going to be able to reorganize it and make sure it's, I'm much happier with it. As you saw, I didn't declutter a whole lot of things. And that was really because before Glenn and I moved, I went on a very long, year-long process of making sure that whatever we moved with was something that we really wanted to bring with us into the new apartment. So even though I did get rid of a handful of items, I was still really happy to see that I made some very good choices. I wasn't keeping things in the hopes that I was one day, someday gonna fulfill, some sort of project I had in my mind at some point. So that is really great to see that I made some great choices in that department. Thank you guys so much for coming on this journey with me. I am really excited with the results, as I said, and the few things that I'm not happy with are things that can certainly be reworked in the future. I hope it's provided some inspiration to get your crafty stash in order for whatever that means to you. And hopefully, it's also shown that you don't need to buy a bunch of new things. You just need to, identify what's not working. And maybe it's something about the space, maybe it's something about you, and find a system that works for you. So, thank you again for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.